أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب الله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. The topic that we chose based on the suggestion of some of the brothers and also the continuation with what we started last week is a topic that most likely needs more than one session to understand. The at least more, I think at least maybe two sessions or even more. We have talked about this topic before, but I'm sure there are aspects of that that are not familiar with some people, and also there will be new questions. And as always, we love the challenges, so inshallah we'll learn something from that. And the topic is a topic of nafs and nafs. What is nafs? Yeah, and also what's the point of knowing what is nafs? You know, what's the usage of getting information about what nafs is? There are the topic of nafs is something that has been the topic of many of the philosophers, Islamic philosophers, during centuries. You know, many of the great philosophers talked about it. The people who were expert in ilm al-kalam, somebody like, for example, Sadr al-Mutalihin. We have people like Abu Ali Sina, Ibn Sina. We have people who were the newer, like Mufassirin, like Allama Tabatabai, for example, and other Maraja like Allama Jawadi, Ayatollah Jawadi Amali, that is Hafazahullah, he's alive. So people have talked about it in different topics. Some people in the topic of tafsir, some people in the topic of ilm al-kalam or philosophy. They talked about this, and we have some information. The first problem with all of the information that is available is that they're not necessarily something that is conclusive. So it's just information. You have lots of information available, but then at the end, many of you may go and read all those things, and you come and say, then what? We're still confused. We still don't know what's what, you know, and how we can apply that in our understanding. The word nafs is similar to nafas, which is breathing. You know, tanaffas. Tanaffasa means breathing. He breathed. And it's from the same thing because of different reasons. So why we put that? Because when you breathe, for example, if something comes out, and nafs it's due to a creation basically coming out. Some people have said these things. But to be honest with you, I don't care where originally came from, because many places the word has changed during time so much and has been applied in different things. So we are talking about a nafs that is terminology. It's in an Islamic Qur'ani a terminology that is a specific thing. It's not just a general thing that people may say on the street or in other books. Now, in Quran, Allah Ta'ala has used the word nafs in many places. Just to give you an understanding of what has been applied for, and then we'll try to build the other things around it, inshallah, see what happens. As a general thing, when you say somebody, you refer somebody as his nafs, like you say self in English. Let's say yourself. What is this? What do you mean by him? As if I say you, yourself. When I say to somebody, for example, you are a human, it's obvious you're talking about the whole existence of this person. That's obvious. If I say somebody, you are a human, it's obvious what I'm talking about. If I say you are, for example, we're playing soccer and saying you are the the attack or the forward, whatever the position in soccer is, that's not his existence. That's just something we are giving him for the time that we're playing in the game. That's it. Or you say that, for example, you go and get employed somewhere and you are an IT consultant. 6 years you're an IT consultant. After that, you change your career, you become a taxi driver. Doesn't matter. So your existence still, you are still you. Also, when we talk about somebody, this is obviously position that we give to this you. And also the other thing that happened to this you is, for example, aging. You look at somebody's picture at age of 5, you say, oh, look, you look cute then, age of 5. Or you see him as at the age of, for example, 25, you say, oh, you look very strong then, you got big muscles. And you see him, the same person at age of 85, and you start talking about you did this, you did that, 85 years of you, but when you look at that you in the picture, there is no similarity between that 5-year-old and that 25-year-old and this 85-year-old sitting here. There's hardly anything. You can easily make them similar to many people. That body that's sitting in front of you, you can make this like now. If I come and bring, for example, 10 photos of 10 different people, and we tell each of you that this is me as a child, you all believe it. You cannot guess which one is me. I can bring somebody that roughly has some similar, okay, they're not, for example, dark skin, totally dark skin with different nose, different eyes, and blue eyes, something, yes. But somebody around how I looked, if I bring 10 different photos, you'll believe it. Oh, yes, this person, everybody says yes. While I might be none of them. Yes? Why? Because you expect this person at this age change so much that you're not easily guessing who this was. So why do you call that person still me at the age of 5 and later on? Because there's something that is fixed. Something that you can still refer to it as the self of that person. That's another introduction. The third introduction is this, that we believe, Islamically, we believe that we are abadi. We are for eternity. Allah Ta'ala is abadi as well, but abadi independent. And also Allah is al-azali. Allah is azali, forever existed and forever will exist. We have not been existed forever, but we will exist forever. Yes? Now, that means there is something in us that stays forever. And it is something that existed when we were created. Yes? So we are referring to ourselves as something that was created at some point. And we refer to that self right now in this world, when we are in alam al-barzakh, when we are in hisab, when we do during hashr, after that, I should say in order, when we do first hashr, second hashr, and after that we go for ba'ath, and then third hashr, and hisab, and sirat, and jahannam, and jannah, inshallah. They're all the same person. You call all of that you. While forget about that body that we said at age of 5, 25, 85 change. That body doesn't even exist anymore. It's a new body. We got a new creation. ثُمَّ أَنْشَأْنَاهُ خَلْقًا آخَرَ. Allah is giving us something after all that creation, that the body, another creation on top of that. But we still existed. Like, how can I talk about something that does not exist and give it something new? Allah Ta'ala talks about our creation as in the embryo, for example, alaqa, mudqa, all the things that happens to it, and then khalqan akhar on top of that. How could you give this thing, there's something has to be there that you give new creation to it? Means Allah has already created something else. means we existed even before that. And Quran explains that. You go and you know that the what we call alam al-dhar, for example. Okay, so before that, some people may say you were in the aslab, in the soul of your parents, in their genetics, as a chromosome, as a DNA or something. That's a different matter. So we have talked about that before as well. At the end of the day, there is something that exists. Now, that thing cannot be even just a chromosome, because chromosome still is material. It's something that you can see, something you can divide and destroy it. We are saying nafs, once has been created, never gets destroyed. Still exists. It can't get shaped. It can change with the information, the shape, the quality that it has. But it will not get destroyed ever. We live forever. Now, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala uses the word nafs sometimes as a specific mode of nafs. We got different modes of the same thing. Sometimes we're saying nafs, we're talking about either a level for a nafs, but you got to think about this level is not a physical level, yeah? Is a spiritual or a metaphorical or metaphysical level. So it's not level as like you get bigger or smaller like a material, but you have something called nafs, but this has different modes. One mode is called an-nafs ammaratun bis-su'. Like Allah Ta'ala uses this in Surah Yusuf alayhi salam. Yusuf alayhi salam says, "Inna an-nafsa ammaratun bis-su' illa ma rahima rabbi." So in another place you got al-nafsul lawwama, Surah Al-Qiyamah, for example. Allah Ta'ala swears by the nafs al-lawwama, the one that blames you, the one that warns you, tells you you've done something wrong. You've got to blame yourself. Somewhere else we got an-nafs al-mutma'inna in Surah Al-Fajr. Ya ayyatuha an-nafsul mutma'inna irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyah. So there are different modes of the same thing. But sometimes an-nafs has been used in the riwayat in Quran as an-nafs ammaratun bis-su'. Even though it doesn't say an-nafs ammaratun bis-su', but it generally has been used. Like it says, a'da aduwik, like the worst enemy you have is your nafs. The hadith says that is your nafs is your worst enemy, which means is worse than shaitan. Yes? Our own nafs, our own self is worse than shaitan, because the hadith says a'da aduwik, because shaitan is aduwwun mubin. In Quran says shaitan is aduwwun mubin. Definitely is a type of enemy that has declared that he's an enemy. That's it. Is obviously an enemy. But the one that you don't know is your enemy is the worst enemy, because you think your nafs is your friend. We consider ourselves as our own friend, but that's not necessarily our own friend. How does that work? How can we say to somebody or something that refer to that as a third person? How can we say, you did not look after yourself? If we say it in a layman terminology, daily life, we say you did not look after yourself. Actually, we mean you did not look after your body, or you did not look after your soul. But we cannot say you as the nafs did not look after nafs. Doesn't make sense, because this is the same thing. It means that you did not look after the needs of this, your own self, which means that your own existence has certain needs, has certain good and bad things for it. So the same body that picks up the food and puts it in his mouth may pick up the wrong food and put it in his mouth. So then you say that it's not the body's fault, it's the nafs fault. It means it's your fault, you as a person. You're the one who ordered the hand to do it. That's why in Qiyamah, The hand does not have any punishment. التي تطلع, the fire of hell, التي تطلع على الأفئدة. أفئدة, again, fu'ad, is a status of nafs or soul. So is the one that feels it, feels the pain for our nafs. Now, if you wanted to just explain in a very simple way, and this simple way is my way of explaining it, okay? So you may find other people explain it differently. Many of ulama, if you go scholars that they lecture or they've written books, they say nafs is the same as soul. They say ruh and nafs, they are the same. But cannot be necessarily the same, because different places, they have different things. When we're not talking about the ruh, which comes from Allah when He says, وَنَفَخْتُ فِي مِنْ رُوحِي, they say this ruh is an extra creation, extra ruh that comes. That's the one that is with you in this world. And then it depends obviously how things are, it may leave you. When it leaves, that is, we talked about this, that leaves you, then you go back to the level of animal. When we don't have that, we are at the level of animal, because the animal doesn't have that extra ruh. But the nafs stays. You say you, as the person, the nafs, you say you have the soul. You have the body. You have the extra soul, the ruh that comes from Allah, the godly ruh, if you want to say so, the godly soul, if you want to call it. So still something is fixed there. So I say like this. I say that we got something that registers everything, absorbs everything. And this is the one that existed from before coming to this world. In Alam al-Dhar existed. So our soul, our nafs, is the one that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala created first. That's when we were created. We were created as that essence. That essence is the one that can be in different modes and can be attached to different things. Can be attached to ruh, to the soul. Can be attached to body. All of these are things that accompany nafs, but nafs still stays. So ruh, some people believe that our ruh may even die. Some people believe in that. Some people say no, ruh is the same as nafs and never dies. Either way. Or that ruh that Allah sent to us, the ruh that Allah sent to us, it may leave us in the hereafter. It may leave us, but our nafs stays. We still have our nafs. It's like that black box they say in the aeroplane. Registers everything. One day you can open it. Now, when he says, وَكَفَى بِنَفْسِكَ الْيَوْمِ اقرأ كتابك. اقرأ, you read your own. What is written where? Some think that when the Quran says read your own book, read your own report, or record, read it, they think that is a separate thing. Yes? And it says كَفَى بِنَفْسِكَ الْيَوْمِ. So today, you are sufficient to read your own book. They say, oh, they give it to you and then you're sufficient. But maybe no. Maybe that's not the case. The case is that actually you're reading yourself. That's why you're sufficient, which means that you're seeing yourself. We're seeing our own existence, our own black box, which means that we can definitely know what's going on. It's just like a reminder, like something that opens the information for us. Because we may forget. Allah comes and says, remember here, you heard that animal, you heard that person, you said that thing, you did that good thing, you helped that person. The other, you were respectful to your parents, or na'udhu billah, you were disrespectful to them, all the things that may have happened. You have forgotten. But you, when you say you have forgotten, is not your nafs. Your nafs has everything registered. Is your body, is this brain, is this part of our existence that forgets? Otherwise, if somebody gets dementia, they cannot remember, they lose their memory, yes? Or for some reason you have some sort of, for example, medication, and you become forgetful for a while. Does that mean that your nafs gets forgetful? If something, things get wiped out of your memory? No. Everything is registered there. Everything is registered in our nafs. As I say, sometimes you see in Quran, Allah Ta'ala says, وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى. Here means النَّفْسَ أَمَّارَةٌ بِالسُّوء. The nafs that it orders you to do bad things. That nafs. But sometimes you have, for example, you say, Nasullah. Allah Ta'ala says that they forgot Allah. فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ. Allah made them forget their own nafs. Which means they forgot about the desires, the real needs of this existence that they have. So there is not necessarily, like we're not talking about the nafs ammaratun bisu. And nafs ammaratun bisu, then there's nothing, you forget about it, it's not a big deal. فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ, there's nothing wrong with it. You forgot that nafs. That means your own existence, means that your real existence. Or, for example, you've got in other places, you've got the Nahj al-Balagha that Imam Ali alayhi salam says, إن أخوف ما أخاف عليكم اثنان اتباع الهوى وطول الأمل فأما اتباع الهوى فيصد عن الحق وأما طول الأمل فينسي الآخرة. Imam alayhi salam said there are two things that I'm really worried about you. I'm scared of these two things for you. One is that you have you follow your desires, and that's why they called here not nafs, they call it hawa. He says, وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى means, hawa means falling down, means going down. So what happens, sometimes our nafs, as you said, you got levels. Some people, the nafs goes down. What does it mean? It means the same person, the same existence, the value goes down. This person does not have that value anymore. Like, without any similarity, as just for understanding, like you go and you buy like a car or a stock, you buy some of the stock, it's the same thing, the same car. But tomorrow they announce that this particular brand or certain cars, they're going to, for example, get rid of the tax, suddenly the price comes down. Is your car changed? No, it's the same car. Does this car do exactly what it used to do? Yes. You still own it? Yes. But the value has come down. This nafs still the same. The nafs still is the same thing that Allah gave us. But we may do something that the value comes down. That's hawa. That's falling down. And the value goes down, the place of the low value is in the dump. The value goes down, it becomes. That's why in barzakh, when people see their own friends or relatives, they get very happy. So they ask about their friends, their relatives. Say, where is that guy? Where is that guy? So, that guy, when I died, he was still alive. Where is the other guy? He died. And they say, Hawa, he fell. He must have fallen because he's not here with us. So he must have fallen where? To the lower level. He's gone to the Jahannam or Barzakh. So there is about the basically bad side of the nafs. And of course there are certain places that Allah Ta'ala says that this nafs is a very important thing. It says we all were created from nafsin wahida. All human beings were created from nafsin wahida. Some people can't translate that. They say that this means Adam alayhi salam. Adam was the first person and that's it. Everybody created from him. That's what they say. But it doesn't look like it. Some other scholars that believe no. This was an essence of humanity. that everybody was created from that essence. Everybody had, who that essence is, there are some information about it, but we don't get there. We stay where we are. It's getting more confusing. But just to know that we all created from the same thing. Yes? Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to say that Adam alayhi salam was like us. Then we have to say he was different. But he's not. He's like us. He was a human being. But the nafs is something that is different. So everybody else was created from the same thing, means that we're all the same people. I mean, that part is, as I say, is a bit confusing. I think I've said enough information in one go. Let's see what comes to your mind. What are your thoughts? And then we'll take it that way, inshallah. Any questions for the fighting bit? Yes. It's the essence of our existence that stays forever. Yes, that's the one of the good ways I say is a good way of explaining. Okay, so that's a very important question. We didn't talk about this because we wanted to see where you guys go. The question is this: is ruh totally what we say mujarrad, totally metaphysical, or no, is physical but different physical? The same question goes to angels. Malaika, are they totally metaphysical, or no, they are metaphysical of a version of it? Version of material, we can say. Semi-material, if you want to translate it. Yes, there are certain things they said. So, semi-material. What does it mean? The material that we know in this world, you guys are engineers, you know the material and everything that when they talk about it, they give you some information, yeah? They say material has, for example, dimension, weight, and lots of things. Okay, fine. If you look at material, you can appreciate it. Whatever the version of that is. Is it solid? It's easy. In the old time, it was difficult for people to understand what is a gas, for example. But then later on, actually, gas, you can measure it. It has weight as well. You put a bit of weight, gas inside the balloon. You put it on the scale. There we go. It has weight. Then then science went even more advanced. They used to say, oh, light, the photons. And they say, oh, photons are something. They said, no, actually, no, photons got weight as well. It's just very, very, very different, very, very small. Now, when we go with this sort of thing in a very untangible level, is it untangible, intangible? Intangible is the right word. Intangible level. So in a way that is difficult to appreciate the material side of it, you virtually call it metaphysical. Virtually. But there's still material. There is still type of material. Like ruh. Like ruh is a type of material. And the riwayah says ruh is a material but is very soft version of material. It says soft version of material like air. For people to understand. Something that is not easy to weigh, to use, to touch, but is a type of material. But nafs, if we use it in this meaning, because sometimes you use these words instead of each other, as we said. You say nafs, you mean ruh. You say, for example, nafs, you mean nafs al-ammara. You say, for example, nafs, you mean everything. You mean ruh, body, soul, everything, yeah? Anfusana wa anfusakum. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Mubahala said that we all take, doesn't mean that we're taking nafs, we'll leave our body home. Means everything. Anfusana means our soul, our existence, our body, everything. So sometimes nafs applies to different things. If nafs applies to just nafs itself, which is the existence, then there is a difference there between all these things that we're saying. There is a difference between nafs and soul and ruh. Because ruh can come and go, can be applied or not applied. You can't, we are not, I mean, some people say ruh never dies, but some people say it dies. But we know that we have riwayat that angels die. Malaika die as well. The angels die but they're not like us, just dying and easily. But there is somewhere in the future, when it comes to the Surah Israfil, the Nafkhatul Ula, that everybody dies. Even the angels die. Yes, that's many of the books believe in that even the angels die. فَصَعِقَ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ means everybody. So to answer that, I believe that ruh is a type of material, not the material that we understand, but is not totally metaphysical either. So in the world of barzakh, the same ruh has been applied to a kind of frame, a frame that is like body. They call it qalib al-mithali, as an example of our existence. Like we got a ruh, a body now, that you can recognize each other. There is a coding, there is a version of seeing each other that you can recognize each other. But this body doesn't exist there. It's a different type of existence. Like in your dream. It's very easy to actually compare this to your dream. Yes? In barzakh. In your dream, you have probably seen it or you've heard others saying it. They say, I went in my dream and I saw this guy. And if there's somebody asks you, when you saw that guy, was he wearing that sort of clothes? You say, oh, I don't remember. Did he have beard or not? I don't know. You don't remember anything about actually that person. Or sometimes the person is there not even looking at you, but you know who that is. Yes? Because that information comes in a different version. Even though you could not, like this body, you could not touch it and feel it, but that's the person. You talk to the people in the world of dream. So in barzakh, the existence is something similar to that. Ruh is the soul if we are considering this way. So we cannot say soul or nafs like that, because in English you don't have a good translation for it. But if we say it like this, we have to say we are 3-4 creations. We are the essence of existence. We call it nafs or self. In English we won't translate. We have soul, which is we call it ruh. We have the godly soul that we said, ruh, that Allah Ta'ala has given us, and that ruh in other people might be different, like in Anbiya alayhi salam is ruh al-Qudus. In others is just is another godly ruh, but not at that level. And then we got body. The body here in this world is this body. In barzakh is different body. In qiyamah again different body. After ba'ath, then there is a new body. You got to think about it. It's true that body is coded from this body. It's something that you can say cloned from this body. But that body is different from this body. You cannot be the same. In Qiyamah, you do not need going toilet. You do not need to eat to survive. Here, you don't eat, this body gets destroyed. That's it, done. Their body is different. The body there does not itself decayed unless there is a force to decay it. The fire will decay it. In fact, when you burn it, Allah Ta'ala says we give him the new skin. So the skin burns, badalnahum juludan, isn't it? Yeah, the new layer comes on. So basically it's a type of body that gets regenerated all the time itself. So in heaven, this body cannot be the same body. What's the usage of your guts there? Are you going toilet or not? Your bladder, do you need a bladder or not? Do you need the heart or not? Does that pump or not? We don't know. But definitely that body is different from this body. This body, you don't give it oxygen, dies. You don't give it enough sunlight, vitamin D goes down. Over there, la shamsan wala zamharira. So how are you going to give vitamin D to it, for example? Yeah, it's just going to be a challenge, which means that that body is different, doesn't need the same needs that you have here. That body is a type of body that was created for the purpose of Qiyamah. So that when you say which one is testifying, is not when he says my hand is testifying, not this hand here, because this hand, you, for example, let's say if some people have asked this question actually. So if I commit crime with this hand, yes, and I lose it, gets chopped off. Does that mean that in Qiyamah this hand is not there anymore to testify? Still, that hand is going to testify. What does it mean? It means is not the hand that you see here, is the soul of that hand, is the one that exists, is the nafs is the black box of the hand, if you want to say. It's the center that hand, everything did registered with it. Otherwise, what's the point of having this hand or not this other hand? This hand can get damaged, and this poor hand didn't do anything. Yes, but you can extract code from the soul that existed there. You extract information from it. Like, for example, now, again, just to understand, you've got a computer, and then you say that the information for whatever is inside this computer, all the registry is in this computer. And you see a computer with a beautiful monitor, everything, and you say information is there, you see it on the monitor. Tomorrow somebody comes and breaks it or burns it, everything gets smashed, still they take the information from that computer and it still exists. That goes somewhere else. The information goes somewhere else. They put that shelf of computer, everything in the bin. And then you say, well, still the computer, still the information there. Was in that computer, wasn't it? The information is the one matters. The codes are the ones matter. That's the soul of it. The one that says that here is written that you've done this or you haven't done that. That information, even though comes from that computer, but is not in the shape of that computer. If it makes sense. Soul. Pain is soul. Because when we go for anesthesia, general anesthesia, they put us to sleep for operation, for example, yeah? We don't feel pain, yes? But our nafs exists, yes? The nafs still there. But we don't feel the pain because the connection between our soul and our center to feel pain is being disrupted. Yeah. No, exactly. Oh, you're not? Yes. Yes. That's the body that's feeling the pain. That's not the type of pain that we have in Akhirah. That's what we said. Allati tattali'u ala al-af'ida, which means that you have hand, not hand still feel it. Yeah. Because your soul or your nafs, if you want to say. Yes. Well, you can have both. Like somebody might be in a dream, they may get punished and they feel a lot of pain. They wake up, the hand is all healthy, there's nothing wrong with it. But then in the dream, they went through really hell. It's a very, very difficult time. You could do that. Yeah, phantom pain is, again, because you can relate it to that, but then you may say that that's again related to a false information that comes from the nerves. So it's good to understand what it was trying to say, and it's related to that, but actually it's a little bit different because there is that wire. There's still some information going to the pain center. But our soul is different. So your soul, without any of those things actually interfering with it, it still feels it. Still feels it. Yes. القبر. قلب. You mean the heart that is related to soul? Okay, so you see our nafs being the black box that never changes, and you got the soul that is attached to it, that feels, has emotions, everything that is happening in the soul. Yeah, our soul is the one that feels emotions. It really feels the pain, for example, in this one. Now, qalb, fu'ad, sadr, these are terminologies for the same thing, for the soul. Yeah, but they're all of these, let's say, outer presentation, they're all based in the same thing, in the nafs. The nafs is that the one that is really holding the whole essence of all of these things. Anything you change will affect the nafs. Anything will sit on it will affect the nafs. But when you want to talk about the part of your soul that feels certain things, like qalb in our understand is for understanding. In our text is for understanding. It is for fiqh. يفقهون قلوب لهم قلوب لا يفقهون بها. You're supposed to feel like you're supposed to understand things. But sometimes you got fu'ad, which is for feeling things. Fu'ad is for feeling pain and absorbing, the things. And sadr is a general thing. Is a general thing for the shell, if you want to, the shell of all of that. Because then you got when you talk about sadr, because like in body is a simile, isn't it? So in our body we got the chest cavity, what we call thorax in medicine. You got this and you got heart in there. In soul you got similar thing. You got a box, if you want to say. We've got a box that you call sadr, and so the box is the limit of our souls. So that's why we ask Allah for sharh al-sadr, which means we want our souls to have more capacity. Our souls can be limited because of other things. We ask Allah, Rabbi shrah li sadri, so our soul gets more capacity, gets more ability to learn things, to understand things, to absorb things without changing. If we are very limited, little bit of effect coming to our soul, we want to burst. We cannot tolerate. Our tolerate goes down. We cannot tolerate others. But when we got sharh al-sadr, which means that our soul is not that limited, then we can easily let go of things. We can accept things. We can talk to others. We can tolerate things much better. So these are different like understanding. Like the same thing with our body. For example, we got limited eyesight. Yes. In our soul, we got limited basira as well. The same way that we got limited vision, if you want to say vision of seeing things, vision with eyes, you got limited basira, like vision with your soul. So that limited is the one that will take you from one stage that somebody becomes ulaika kal an'am to the level that it says lam a'bud rabban lam ara, or Imam Ali salam says lam a'bud rabban lam ara. Yeah, or ma kuntu a'bud rabban lam ara. So Imam alayhi salam gets to the level that his vision with his soul, not with this one, can see his nurture, can see Allah. From the other side, somebody that does not see anything. Like the guy said, the surgeon said, the God that you're talking about, if I see him under my scalpel, under the knife of surgeon, then I accept it. There's a God. If I don't see it there, then I don't accept. But somebody has to say to him, do you love your children? You love your children or not? We have not seen your love for your children. Prove you got love for your children. We cannot see something that's called love, yeah? It says, oh, I'm kind to them. What do you mean? Anybody can buy things for others. You can buy things for somebody you don't love. You can buy it out of riyah, out of tricking them, buying them, bribing them, whatever. So this surgeon that says, I do not see God unless see him under the surgical knife, you got to ask him, prove to us that you got love for your children. He cannot, because he's not under his knife anyway. So the different aspects of our soul it can get improved as well. We can improve our hearing with our soul. You work on yourself and you hear things not the same way that we hear hallucination, and we hear things. The people who have hallucination, they hear things exactly the way that we hear. That's why they go mad. They search for the person. But the soul, that you hear things in a different way, it sounds different. You hear things, you see things different. Like that Harith ibn Malik that came to Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that something like "Kayfa asbahta?" How are you, or how's everything, And then he said that I feel that I have reached the level of yaqeen. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, so everything that changes to us, that has some signs. Give us the signs. There he says, I see Jahannam. I see heaven right now in this world. So, that's actually a topic that, inshallah, in Muharram, I'll talk about this as well, inshallah. The level that one can reach with this understanding. Anything else? اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. Hajj announced the end of